What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today, if I can get my dog to move, we're going to be taking a look at a production knife. For those of you who are a fan of bigger knives and probably don't see many of those on my channel, this one is not going to be for you. Little misdirection. This is a very small knife by a company, fairly new-ish company called Bestech Knives, along the lines of Riot and Kaiser. They are a higher-end Chinese production company. And there's their logo. So now that you have seen the knife, let's go ahead and get into the specs of said knife. So this is the Bestech mini flipper. It does have a number designation. I don't know it off the top of my head though. Just the Bestech mini flipper. That's what I'm going to call it. It looks a lot like a minified, if any of you guys remember the Riot Wave. It looks almost like a minified Riot Wave. And when I ordered it, I didn't really realize that it was quite this small. In the pictures, it looks just like a regular knife. Obviously, they have the specifications up there, but you really, I mean, you can't know exactly what a knife is going to look and feel like until you have it in your hands. Pictures usually don't do them justice. Hopefully this video does a better job. You can see it's about the size of my middle finger. So let's go, like I said, let's jump into the specs. The blade overall length is right at about 2.4 inches. It's just a hair under 2.4 inches. And the cutting edge is about 2.25 inches. So very small blade, in a sort of Tonto-ish, sort of like a bastard drop point Tonto blade configuration. And you can see it's got a nice stone wash there, top swedge. It is a flat grind, but as you can probably guess, it's very thin behind the edge. So this thing is an excellent little slicer, and it came with a fantastic edge, very sharp. So as far as uses for a knife this small, they're going to be fairly limited. This one is mainly like cutting tape on packages. That's pretty much 99% of what I use it for, opening mail, stuff like that. Generally smaller tasks that I'm not in need of a super long blade. But for those things, it absolutely excels. I mean, obviously you can use a bigger knife, but because this is so thin behind the edge and it's got such a sharp finish, it just flies through that type of stuff. You could probably use it in place of like a steak knife at dinner, but I mean, even that's kind of pushing it a little bit for food. For food prep, I just don't see it. It's a little bit too small. But if you're one of those guys in an office who finds yourself having to cut open boxes regularly, or even break down boxes, opening mail, that kind of thing, and you just want something that you can flip and play with and it's still cool, but it's not going to put anybody off, this is definitely one of those knives. This isn't going to scare anybody. It's like the size of a pen knife almost. So the blade steel is S35VN. It is top of the line steel. As far as the handles go and the overall length, it's 5.5 inches overall. So about 2.4 inches on the blade, and I guess about 3.25 inches on the handle. You can see it's anodized blue titanium, and this part has been milled for, I guess, a little bit of grip, a little bit of looks. That part has been anodized gold on the ridges. All of the edges here have been anodized gold as well. Oh, and I should add, these come in different colors, I believe. So this one was like the blue and gold, and there's even some like greenish. I don't know, maybe aquamarine, I don't know. I'm not a color guy. I don't know the names of a lot of colors. But yeah, you can see that even there the lock bar relief cut has been anodized gold. So you get a lot of good contrast, good color. As far as the hardware here, you can see that that's been polished pretty well, and it's very easy to service with a flathead screwdriver. Fortunately, I keep one of those multi-tool type things on my keys, which makes tightening this or loosening it very easy. So it is a frame lock, and it even has a little lock bar insert. It does run on bearings, as you can kind of see there. Lockup is very secure. I'd say it's at about 50%. There's no blade play. When I did take this out of the box and I realized just how small it was, I was for sure like, okay, there's going to be blade play, and it's just kind of like a novelty, you know, little thing. But it's not. It's built to the specifications of what you would expect from a full-size folding knife, but it's just tiny. It's so tiny, and it kind of impressed me even more that they were able to achieve this level. Like, it flips hard. It impressed me that they were able to get this level of like refinement and sturdiness on such a tiny knife. You can see the 3D milled titanium pocket clip, also anodized gold. I'm not a huge fan of this first production thing that like Benchmade does. It just seems so unnecessary to me, but whatever, it's there. Yeah, so this is, obviously this is not going to be a drop closed type knife, just because of how light the blade is, but the flipping action is super duper fast, and it's not that hard of a, doesn't need to be that hard of a detent. It's just, you know, it's small enough that it just the detent that it has makes it flip out super hard. And you can see it is smooth once you know, push the lock bar in. It's very smooth on bearings. So ergonomically, the best you can do is going to be the 3-finger grip if you want to hold it this way. 99% of the time you're going to be pinching it like this or like this, which totally good, or totally fine rather, I should say, because of this kind of like stepped nature of the pivot, and you have the elongated for the flathead screwdriver. It locks in your thumb when you're doing pinch cuts like that. It does have a quarter length titanium backspacer with sort of gear pattern. And if you're wondering what that little purple thing is, I'm going to try and show you with one hand. There we go. It's a little lanyard hole slash key hole. So you can put this on your keychain if you want. And that's anodized purple for whatever reason. It doesn't match at all, but I think they probably just made these all one color and then added them as needed to the knives. But yeah, you can just close it when it's in your pocket or in use. Just roll it back into the handle, and then, you know, or if you want to keep it on your keys, you just go ahead and keep that out. So I thought that was pretty neat touch, pretty cool. So weight-wise, obviously, it's going to be very light, 1.3 ounces. So I mean, it basically weighs nothing. And there's really not a footprint in your pocket. It carries relatively deep, maybe in a little less than 1/4 of an inch would be showing above your pocket. but it's just so small that this really could never threaten. No one would ever feel threatened, I don't think, by this knife. And it's still fun. It gives you that fun of the you know, the flipping action of the higher end knives, and that general appearance of a higher end production knife without, oh, you can see there's the jimping on the flipper tab, without having that semi-intimidating size, I guess. Yeah. Just a really neat, kind of, I don't want to say novelty because it does have use, but one of those knives that you're not going to carry all the time, for sure, unless you just really like small knives and you don't feel the need to carry anything bigger. But it's got all the quality and feeling of a much larger high-end knife without the giant size. I shouldn't say giant size, without the size kind of taking up room in your pocket or scaring non-knife people around you. This would be really great for people who you know, have blade size limitations in their city or their state. So as far as price and value, these aren't as cheap as I thought they would be. I think I paid $100 for this one from Blade HQ or thereabouts. And I feel like that's probably correct just because of the materials that went into it. I mean, you're talking about S35VN, titanium, the extra work on the handles, the anodization afterwards. It's on bearings, caged bearings, 3D milled pocket clip. It's got all of the, and the lock bar insert, it's got all of the bells and whistles of, you know, the higher end. Like I said, it's very comparable looks wise to the Riot Wave, but it's just minified. But a knife this small doesn't feel like it should cost $100. And yet at the same time, I do get it. You're carrying a premium. This isn't like just some junker, you know, this is for those of us that prefer smaller knives. I mean, this is going way small, but if you do like carrying smaller knives, but you don't want to have to carry something of less quality, this absolutely is a very high quality, very well built knife. But you are going to pay $100 for it. So I will say this, I would take this over $100 spent on a Benchmade any day, which I do have a review coming up of the new Benchmade, I think it's called the Backpacker or something like that, or the, I don't know, something. It's the new lightweight Benchmade, almost like the Griptilian, but anyways. So again, this is the Bestech Mini Flipper. Really nice, high quality, better than I expected. When you talk about smaller knives, you usually run into more variance in stuff like centering and blade play, but this one is really well made. So kudos to Bestech. I'm definitely going to be looking at stuff coming out from them in the future if it can live up to the quality that they have demonstrated they can achieve with this knife. All right, guys, take it easy and stay tuned. Oh, if you're at the gathering, enjoy. I'm jealous.